In our community, I notice that a lot of us are overly emotional and angry, but we lack the depth to express ourselves in an intelligent way. Truth be told, there are a lot of undiagnosed people walking around here, and a lot of the issues that they're dealing with were implanted during their childhoods. Today I'm going to talk to you about mothers that eat their young. Yeah, you heard it right. Here's 6 ways to spot a narcissistic mother. In the modern family, mothers are known as the staple of nurture. However, in the animal kingdom, there are some species of mothers that eat their young. They simply devour them. Some do it for survival, some do it for nourishment, but humans are not cannibals, but we also devour our young. We just do it in less primitive ways. The first type of mother that eats her young is the one that does not want to see her daughters do better than them. Now, she's easy to spot because you'll often see her son lacking discipline and running around all over the place, but she's extremely hard on her daughters. I won't go as far as saying she doesn't like her daughter, but she always wants to make sure the daughter, who she sees as a competitor, always reveres her. She puts her son on a pedestal, so he's more likely to develop an Oedipus complex. Her kids are always dressed in the finest clothes because they are her little representations of her superiority. The kids are often objectified just to meet their mother's inflated self-image. They secretly despise when their child makes an accomplishment that surpasses them because they have a fear that their child might eventually leave them. Remember, all of the people in this type of mother's life serve a purpose for her and her only. These type of women have an unhealthy attachment to their children. They try to maneuver them in such ways that they'll become their caretakers in old age. If you haven't guessed it by now, these types of people are called narcissists, or narcs for short. People that are narcissistic need a source to constantly fuel them, and what better victims than their young, impressionable children? Keep in mind that narcissism is only one of 10 of the types of personality disorders. People that usually suffer from these had to adapt from some sort of abuse in their formative years, which is ages 0 to 6. I think it's pretty safe to say that most of us were raised by imperfect parents and certainly in an imperfect world. So we all probably developed some coping mechanisms. The key here is to recognize if you or a loved one have trouble coping to the point to where you need professional help. They're known to be extremely verbally abusive, mentally abusive, and often physically abusive. So the best fit for them to have a relationship with is a person known as a people pleaser. This breed of woman doesn't know how to be a wife in the traditional sense. Therefore, she can't really groom her daughter to be a wife. Now, don't get me wrong, this type of woman can get a man. She probably has a husband right now, but he'll fall into the category of being an underachieving beta male who she can dominate. Consequently, this woman raises her sons with the same type of mediocrity that she looks for in a partner. A spouse or potential spouse in their child's life is often viewed as a threat, so they're met with rejection and competition. In the eyes of some narcissistic parents, no one is ever good enough for their child, but really the underlying issue might be they don't want to be threatened for dominance over this particular child. If you've noticed that your parent never likes anyone that you bring around without good reason, they might have some narcissistic traits. One of the most terrible traits in a narcissistic mother is she's inherently jealous of her children's relationship with their father. And should the romantic relationship between the narcissistic mother and the father end, she does everything in her power to kill the paternal bonds between father and child. If you yourself are co-parenting with a narcissist, all I can say is God bless you. Be sure to set firm boundaries. And if you can't get 100% custody of your child, be sure to spend as much time with them as you can. They need the stability from one parent in their life. Ultimately, coexisting with a narcissist is tough work. Co-parenting with a narcissist is nearly impossible. A narcissistic mother seeks sympathy from any audience that she can get by positioning herself as the self-sacrificial patron saint of motherhood. While it's expected that a mother would do anything for her family, this one has an innate need to be acknowledged and admired. She's very quick to attack, but the second you fight back, she becomes the victim. Chances are, if you yourself are a narcissistic mother, then you probably will not recognize that you are in fact the problem. Most people raised by narcissistic mothers have a hard time admitting that they were victimized by their own mother, so they will not be able to admit that they were abused. The people that can point out a narc the easiest are the ones that have the misfortune of co-parenting with one, or people that are in relationships with one or trying to wiggle out of a relationship with one of them. If this describes you, I can identify with the inadequacy that you felt when you realized that you were being manipulated by a narcissist. And if you've managed to escape them, then I gotta give you a round of applause. Maybe you're a narcissist. Maybe your partner is a narcissist. Maybe you were raised by one. The key is to recognize these traits in yourself or the people around you and seek help. While there's no known cure for narcissism, very few people can actually wiggle their way out of it through self-actualization and therapy. In this dynamic, the most important thing is to recognize the cycle or completely take yourself out of the equation. Be sure to check out blendedinblack.com. I've shared a lot of links on narcissistic personality disorder, and there's even a quiz on there you can take to see if you yourself are a narcissist. Thank you for watching, and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe, because next time we'll be discussing emotional intelligence and why some of you just don't have it. Blended in black.